Hi everyone, I am Ayushi Jain, practicing company secretary and a law graduate. This is the second video on my YouTube channel. Those of who are watching my channel for the first time, I would like to give the brief background of the concept, that is 360-degree law, year. I have provided complete timelines of my video in the description box below, by which you can skip the parts you don't want to see and go to the desired part of the video. It's an initiative with the objective of 360-degree review of corporate laws, including proposed laws, by dividing them in three parts: evolution, aim, and results. Evolution means the genesis of the law, and aim is what the lawmakers intended by the particular enactment. Results. The third is the results, the changes in law and its impact on the corporates, the government, and maybe even the country as a whole. I will try to cover the three aspects with proactive approach. Now, why should we analyze all these three aspects and not only results? It's necessary to know the intent of the law, to apply it in letter and spirit without any consequences and ambiguities, as not every provision is clearly black, that is the restricted area, and clearly white, that is the allowed area. There will always be an orange or gray area where these interpretations comes very handy for the correct interpretation. Also, we are the corporate governance professionals and has the responsibility attached to it. Starting with my today's topic, that is FDI under government route, which I find very useful in this today's scenario, when the major focus of the government lying in that direction due to the current pandemic situation. In this slide, I would like to discuss the first two areas, that is evolution and aim. This time also, I would like to give brief background of how India has now become the topmost attractive foreign investment destinations, with $73.46 billion FDI in the last financial year 1920. Increased FDI flows in the country are largely attributed to intense and bold policy reforms taken by the government, which bring pragmatism in the FDI policy. You can choose to skip this part and move as per timelines in the description box below. Reform measures undertaken by the government since 2014 include liberalization of conservative sectors like rail infrastructure, and defense, medical devices, and construction development. In September 2014, the government had launched a Make in India campaign, which led to an increase of around $9 billion in the first year itself, followed by FDI policy provisions overhauled in sectors such as construction, development, broadcasting, retail trading, air transport, insurance, and pension in 15-16. The introduction of composite caps in the FDI policy and raising the FIPP approval limit were also undertaken in the same year to promote ease of doing business in the country, followed by introduction of e-commerce guidelines for B2C segment, specifically with some conditions, liberalization of pension and insurance sector up to 49% in the automatic route. Further, in financial year 16-17, the government permitted 100% FDI in retail trading of food products. This was introduced with an unqualified condition attached to it, that the food products are required to be manufactured or produced in India, which gave a boost to FDI to touch $60.08 billion. In financial year 17-18, further liberalization to the manufacturing sector for 100% FDI under government approval route for retail trading, including through e-commerce in respect of food products manufactured and produced in India, conversion of company to LLP. One of the major changes is abolishment of FIPP and release of standard operating procedures for FDI by DIPP, detailing the procedures and timeline for application and list of competent authorities for approvals in India. Startups can now issue convertible notes to foreign investors. Further liberalization in 18, 19 and 1920 continued to sectors like single brand retail trading, coal mining, contract manufacturing, digital media, etc. The relaxations are continuing, which is evident from the latest announcement by our finance minister, raising the FDI limit in defense sector under the automatic route from 49 to 74% on May 16, 2020. Top achiever industries are service sectors, computer software, telecommunications, automobiles, and trading. Many of the sectors are being transferred to automatic sector. The application for approval of sectors or countries under government route is to be filed on FIFP portal, and for the automatic route, the intimations are required to be given to the Reserve Bank of India on its SMF firms portal. Let's move to the procedural part, that is results. That is the process of government approval. All the terms and details is as per the Consolidated FDI Policy of 2017 and read with SOP for the same. First of all, let us understand by which ways FDI can come into India. It can be through license office, representative office, project office, branch office, wholly owned subsidiaries, and JVs. Now, what areas are under government route? First is the sector specific. A non-resident entity can invest in India subject to the FDI policy, except in those sectors or activities that are prohibited. Second is country specific, which has recently been amended by Press Note 3 of 2020, dated April 17, 2020, which says an entity of a country which shares land border with India, the countries Afghanistan, China, Bhutan, Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Myanmar shares border with India, or where the beneficial owner of an investment in India is situated in any such country, or the beneficial owner is a citizen of any such country. Further, a citizen of Pakistan or an entity incorporated in Pakistan can invest only under government route in sectors activities other than defense, space, atomic energy. Now there are broadly four groups of persons involved in the process. The first one is the applicant, that is the investing company. The second is DIPP, that is the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion. The third is the concerned ministry or department called as competent authority. Now, just to give you a background of how this concerned ministry came into the picture. It was introduced by our Ministry of Finance Office Memorandum dated June 5, 2017, which abolished FIPB and entrusted the work of government approval for FDI to concerned ministries or departments as mentioned in SOP of Consolidated FDI Policy of 2017. The last group is the other departments, ministries for specific inputs, Reserve Bank of India, Ministry of External Affairs, Department of Revenue, and Ministry of Home Affairs to be particular, to review respective angles of the investments as may be required. The competent authority shall process the complete proposal and convey the approval, rejection of the same in the format prescribed within 60 days of receiving the proposal, excluding some timelines which I will discuss later on. After the brief background, now come to the process. It starts with filing of application on FIFP portal as given on the screen with the documents mentioned in Annexure 1. The second step is the e-transfer of proposal from DIPP to the concerned ministry or departments as per the SOP. DIPP will also transfer within 2 days the proposal to Reserve Bank of India for comments from FEMA perspective. Further, all proposals will be forwarded to Ministry of External Affairs and Department of Revenue for their information and comments within the stipulated time period. Proposals for foreign investments requiring security clearance would also be forwarded to Ministry of Home Affairs. For example, broadcasting, telecommunication, etc., as displayed on the bottom of the screen, would additionally be referred there. Now, for applications which are not digitally signed, DIPP would communicate to the applicant through online communication to submit one physical signed copy directly to the concerned ministry or department. If the signed physical copy is not received within 7 days of the communication, the date of receipt of physical copy to the concerned ministry would be reckoned as the date of receiving of proposals, and the timeline of 60 days will start from that date. Specific issues of proposal requiring clarification from the point of view of FDI policy would also be referred to DIPP for their clarification. However, proposals shall not be forwarded for consultation with DIPP for its concurrence for conditions which are concerning to compounding under FEMA provisions or compliance of regulations or laws of the land or court orders, and the concerned ministry is empowered to take the decisions on their own. The competent authority shall within 1 week scrutinize the proposal and ask the applicant for any additional documents or information as may be required. Time taken by the applicant for replying to this communication would be excluded from the timelines. DIPP will provide clarification within 15 days as asked on the specific issues of FDI policy. Ministries, departments consulted like RBI, MEA and DOR shall upload their comments on the portal within 4 weeks of receiving the proposal. In case comments are not received within the stipulated time period, the date it would be assumed that they have no comments. However, comments by MHA would be provided to the competent authority within 6 weeks, or if it is not in a position to provide it within 6 weeks, time as intimated to the competent authority. Once the proposal is complete in all aspects, not be later than 6 weeks or 8 weeks in case MHA comments have been asked for, the competent authority shall within 2 weeks, the next 2 weeks, process the proposal for decision and convey the same to the applicant. The approval and rejection letters shall be sent online to the applicant, competent ministry, competent authorities, ministries and departments, and DIPP. Basis of examining the proposals on FDI policy, press notes, FEMA, RBI notifications, guidelines, sectoral requirements or policies. Some additional time frames are also applicable in special cases. The first one is additional time of 2 weeks would be taken for concurrence of DIPP for cases in which rejection or additional conditions are not provided as not provided in FDI policy is to be imposed by the competent authority. In case of proposal involving total foreign equity flow of more than 5,000 crores, the competent authority shall issue within 1 week the letter after receipt of decision of Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs. Here, it is required to consult the Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs. Now, just to give you the idea of FIFP portal, this is the portal of FIFP on the proposal on which the proposal is required to be uploaded. After this screen, after registration, when you log in, this screen will appear with basic details of investee company and authorized person. You can register yourself and you can log in the portal. After that, you can find this screen and there is an option of applying online. Here is the list of documents need to be uploaded along with the proposal. And I have also displayed the timelines in the table manner which I have explained earlier through a diagram for easy understanding. So that was at length discussion for the process of FDI approval under government route for specific sectors or specific countries as per the consolidated FDI policy read with SOP and latest press notes, along with some important statistical data and the evolution of relaxations of FDI policy by the current government. You can reach out to me for any of your queries or for any suggestions on the topic for my upcoming videos through mail, text or any of my channels whose details are provided on the screen below. Thank you for your patient listening.